All right, let's talk real quick about creating vinyl stickers. This is going to be one of our last projects we do inside of Illustrator. So if we're taking a look out at the handout here, all of this stuff should be located on Google Classroom for you. But essentially what we're going to be doing is creating a one color sticker using a vinyl roll. Our rolls are 15 inches wide, so by the time you get the little gripper feet on there, we get about 13 inches in width and you get about 16 inches in length. That's going to be your given amount of material. You are only going to be given the option of one color. Colors are based on first come, first serve type situation. But we've got everything from white, silver, gold, black, blues, purples, pinks. So it really comes down to if the material's still left when it's your turn to cut. You don't have to use that entire piece if you don't want to, but the 13 by 16 is going to be your given piece. It does help to understand what actually takes place, right? So we're taking a piece of vinyl, we're going to be cutting it out. So the thickness of the line, the amount of material left over when you get done, is hugely important to the ability for the sticker to stick to a given surface. So whether or not you're going to a window, a mirror, the back of a phone, a computer, you need to have a substantial amount of material in order to do that. We also don't want to be writing stories with vinyl because you're going to have to sit there and weed each letter out from the waste material. So it works better if you stick to single words or just a couple. Thicker fonts work better as well. We don't want to be using real scrolly stuff. You can see here in our directions, it does kind of talk about some different options. So let's start at the top real quick. Like I said earlier, 13 by 16 artboard. You want to generally create a little bit larger sticker if all possible. We can use the pen tool, the shape tool, shape builder. We can do text. We can type on a path if we need to. But if you want to trace over top of something, so say you've got a brand that you really like and you want to go ahead and recreate their logo. We're fine with that for this particular project. It's not going to... we're not going to worry about copyright laws or anything like that for this particular project, but just know that you are probably breaking something if you are recreating the Bears logo or something like that. So once we trace over the top of it, we got to make sure we're working with inside of our artboards. So when we create a document, create it to the size of that piece of vinyl. You want to make sure you're drawing in CMYK black swatch only. Even though if you're going to choose a colored vinyl later, that's fine. But for this activity, we're going to draw with black inside of the computer. We talk about staying away from small text. We've got some suggestions in here. Nothing smaller than 3 inches in height. 216 for your points. Yes, that's relatively large. We could knock it down a little bit, but if you get anything under 100 points, it's going to be extremely difficult to weed, and it's probably not going to stick really well to whatever you're trying to adhere it to. Keep our outlines thick, no less than 8 points. That's a pretty big one right there. I'll show you some examples in just a second of what happens when you don't do that. We need to make sure that we got all of our overlapping paths expanded eventually, and we'll show you how to expand here in just a second. You want to make sure you proof your work. Control and the Y key will bring us into outline mode so that we are ready to make sure we merge all of our different shapes together and we create shapes versus having strokes inside of our document. So we'll walk you through that pieces. Down below, we've got some examples here of some different pieces. So let's jump over really quick to some stuff that I've already created, and then I'll talk about the jack thing that you see here. So I've created a full sheet here. This is a 13 by 16 artboard, and I've drawn some different pieces. All right, so this would be text up there. You can see the height actually ended up being 2.2 inches, so that's good. Keep it around 2 inches. And then I drew these mountains. I've drawn Jack, and I traced this Traeger logo, and then I've got some screen printing pieces over here. If I go Control wide right now, you can see that these on the artboard have been expanded, and then they've been merged back together using the Pathfinder tool right there. So if we can kind of see that in an example really quick, we'll make a copy of these mountains. So go back out of it real quick. You can see they do look solid. They look great. That's kind of what they look like on my actual artboard. But when I go to outline mode, you can see they're definitely not the same as what you see on the artboard there. So if I select all the pieces, I need to go to Object, and I click on the Expand option. And I want to expand the fill and the stroke, and I click OK. And then I come in to my Pathfinder tool, so Window, Pathfinder, and I need to click on the Merge button. By merging it, you can see that I now have gotten rid of all of those extra little pieces that were in there. I now have solid shapes in which I can cut out or weed out. We don't suggest it, but it would make your life a lot easier if you were to simply throw a square around the outside of your shape. And the reason that I do that when I do my vinyl cutting is if I go Y now, Control Y, this is going to give me a piece of vinyl that I could weed out. Otherwise, these ones here, the vinyls kind of stick together. They're all kind of one piece. So if you can break them into smaller squares, it does make it a little bit easier. I know it does mess with the layout a little bit, like I wouldn't be able to have a piece there. But that option is entirely up to you if you include that in your design there. We are going to keep these right read. We don't need to reverse them. Text right here, obviously this piece of text needs to be expanded, so I could right click on it, create outlines, and you can see it now becomes a shape instead of text. What else can we talk about really quick? You can see I rotated some of my graphics over here. By rotating them, it allows me to place a couple more on the page. So orientation doesn't really matter because in the end you're going to be cutting them out and then putting a mask on top of them and then transferring them to whatever you want. So let's talk about Jack really quick. We'll go back over here. We'll run through this example pretty fast, and then we'll let you guys go to work on your own project. So there are a couple different ways we could kind of do this. You may have the access to this file, but if I look at layer 2 here, I've got my layer 1, which is a template. You can know it's template because I've double clicked on it and I've turned it into a template. You can see it dims the image for me. Now I can come in and try to recreate this, doing some of the things that I know. If I come in, make a circle really quick, I want to make sure I'm drawing with black stroke only. So I'll turn that off, increase my weight, and then get my move tool. And doesn't quite match, but I do know some tricks, right? So I can come in here, start to adjust it a little bit with my selection tool. Once I think I've got it close, I can then get my direct select tool and start to change it a little bit more. And now I'm starting to take on a more natural shape. Need to increase the thickness of those lines a little bit. Other things I can do, what can I do here? I'm going to start drawing his mouth. And we'll come up here. You notice I'm just kind of clicking around here a little bit. Come back and adjust them, get them right where you want them. All right, relatively close. They do hang over the edge. That's fine. We'll come back and fix that in just a sec. Other pieces that maybe need to be done. We need to get his eyes real quick. And again, going fast. Let's pull this piece out. There's that one. Pull this handle down. Oops, wrong tool. All right. So we got that. But you notice how those ends were a little pointed. I can come back and maybe get my width tool now. If I do that, I can pull on my points and I could round these out. In vinyl cutting though, this point would not work out really well for us. We do need to have a little bit of width to that point. So let's try that again. Bring it down to about there. If we wanted, we could come back to our strokes panel. We could open it up as well and maybe change that to a little rounded end cap, perhaps. And it would maybe make it a little bit easier for the machine to cut. And maybe we'll pull this out to give it a little bit of width. So you can see we're starting to build what the eye would look like. So we could call that a profile if we really wanted, right? We could select it. We could save that profile, come over here, select this one, and then we could go ahead and apply that profile to our document if we really wanted. It took it okay. Probably want to come back and maybe adjust it just a little bit more. Make sure you got the right tool. There we go. So we're starting to build that up. What else could we do here? We got to figure out how to get some color into his eyes. So what we could do is essentially we could take the blob brush if we wanted. All right, so we're going to come in here. We're going to color. And I'm going to increase my brush stroke real quick by using the bracket keys on my keyboard. And I'm starting to color these in. They look good. They're solid. You could also draw these using your pen tool if you wanted. Oops, that was a mistake. Don't like how that came out. Just want to be careful not to overlap your stuff too much. Increase the weight. Okay, bring this back down. We can draw these nose pieces real quick. And then you'd have to come down to the teeth at this point. The teeth I'd probably do with maybe like a paintbrush, maybe, and maybe apply like a width to it, perhaps. And for some reason they're being dotted, so let's go up and change that. I want that to take place. There we go. Let's get a pad. Okay, so we're starting to make these stitches. We can work our way through the document here. And again, if you want to come back in, apply a little bit of profile to these, it would make them look a lot better than just the same width over and over. So I got those pieces. We're almost there. We could go ahead and do our final steps to it. So if we come back in, we highlight this, get all the pieces. There are some things that need to be trimmed up. So we get our shape builder, come back in, hold the Alt key. What happened there? Oh no. Did I freeze my computer? Well, that's unfortunate. It looks like I have frozen my computer, but at this point what you do, shape build those pieces out. Dang it. Okay, let's see if it pulls back up really quick. Oh, that's a bummer. Okay, well, at this point you would probably shape build your stuff. Let's see if it happens. Ignore, Jack. We're close. All right, so we can finish this thing off. Let's do this. Let's get that piece into there. And then bam. Okay, highlight all your stuff. Shape builder. Alt that piece off, alt that end piece right here because we don't want that to cut. Everything else looks okay. So what we would do is we need to expand these, right? Because if we go Control Y, we take a look at our sticker, there's a lot of broken pieces right now, nothing solid. So doing Control A, we go Object, Expand. We have to do it twice. So we go Object, Expand one more time, and you'll see now we got the option of expanding our fill and our stroke. We click OK. You can see we've got solid pieces everywhere. So what we could do now is we go back out of Control Y, see there's overlapping pieces. We still need to be able to join those together somehow. So we're going to open up our Pathfinder tool. You could go over to your panel here if you know how to work those. But we're looking for the merge option. We click merge, Control Y, and now we have got ourselves a nice solid piece that could be turned into a sticker. So that's kind of the basics of doing vinyl cutting. Keep it simple. Don't get too crazy, and everything should work out okay. Good luck. Have fun.